Hey, what's going on? My name is Steve Larson, and I went from zero to $5 million in 2 years. It took me 34 business tries over 5 years, and I'm one of the passionate few. That was one of the funnest, coolest interviews I've ever been on in my entire life. I've been interviewed probably 400 times now, and I also like that you ask questions that I've never been asked. What I hope people get from this interview is a clear identity of whether or not they're in an entrepreneur role, or they're serving right now in the marketer role, or whether they need to learn one or the other. I'm hoping that they understand what marketing is, what a funnel is, and also what they are not, what actually causes the cash. Honestly, if they apply even like 10% of what I was talking about this, they should be able to do better economically, considering what's going on than they were before.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Passionate Few. Today we get to sit down with one of my good buddies and one of the kings of the ClickFunnels community. He's helped so many people in online marketing. He is none other than the capitalist pig king himself, as you can see by his shirt and the background. None other than Steve Larson, the offer king specialist, helping people create offers online that convert. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. And a lot of people know you. Your claim to fame in the community, obviously, aside from what you're doing now, is that you actually worked hand in hand with Russell Brunson. And you literally like wung your way to a ClickFunnels event, had no clue how to connect with anybody, ended up being Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels' right-hand guy, building funnels and learning the whole world of online marketing when you were kind of a noob. So before we get into this interview, can you give the audience a little bit of context of what you do now and then where the journey began?
Yeah, absolutely. So my entire company is focused around, we help people design and launch lucrative offers. I'm not so much into the evergreening thing. I'm more in the let's get it out the door kind of guy. And so it's funny, I tout around as the offer guy, but really it's the launches that we really focus on.
Right.
And we have tons of fun doing it. Really what I'm obsessed with, I love studying old, dead, rich marketers. Because like they think about what they had to go do to sell a product, and we have such easy, fast distribution today. It kind of makes a lot of us lazy, and especially the way we market. I've already Instagrammed the fact that you and I are doing this, right? And so but that's distribution, bam, like one shot, and it's free. I didn't have to do anything for it. You go study these old school dead guys who are rich, like, man, what they had to go do. And so sometimes the internet can be a crutch. So what we really do is help people grab some of those old school patterns and then put the internet on top of it and its power. So I got started, honestly, I actually wasn't really a noob, funny enough. I actually was building funnels for other companies prior to working at ClickFunnels successfully. And I was building funnels for lots of people. Obviously there's ones that didn't work. There's ones that did work very well. And as I didn't learn how to charge. So I was in college and I studied all these money false beliefs. And so I was doing a lot of free work for people, a lot of startups, existing companies. And while in the middle of my marketing classes, I'd be like actually doing marketing instead of just, you know what I mean? And so I would get these tips with like the teachers and the professors. And I ran into Russell's stuff when I was doing a lot of affiliate marketing, and it was working. And my first real dollar came online because of affiliate marketing. And then suddenly he had this big event coming up, and I was doing all this free work. I was doing what he said. He's like, work for free, get experience. So I hadn't really learned how to charge. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go, I don't have money, but what do I have? Oh, I got a skill set. So I started trading funnels for plane tickets and funnels for hotel nights and all this stuff. And
what year is this?
It was 2005. Or, sorry, 2000. Wait, crap, where are we? 2015. That's what it was. 14, 15, something like that. I don't really remember.
So but, we're talking like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It wasn't really that long ago. And it took me 34 business tries. The first 17, I didn't even know what a funnel was. So by the time I got to like 17, 18, I was 3-4 years in. And that's when I found out who Russell was, got to ClickFunnels. And my initial intent was actually just to work as a support guy. I was like, proximity's power. I'm graduating college in 5 days. I'm at Funnel Hacking Live. Like, let's just get near. And so I submitted all the funnels I had done in the past, submitted all this work to him, sent all the stuff like, here's the successes, here's the failures. And I got a call 2 days after the event was over, and just started driving immediately over to ClickFunnels. And I thought, I was like, you guys want me to meet with Russell to be a support guy? Like, they didn't tell me why they wanted. So anyway, I ended up getting the job, working there a few days after that. So.
Wow. So two questions. First question is, how did you even get into online marketing to begin with? Because I think a lot of people in the midst of COVID and what's going on, people are realizing the importance of not only making money online, but actually building infrastructure, right? Like a digital real estate presence online.
Yeah.
But we're talking going back. So can you take us back to where was your first thought of like, I need to get into online marketing? Where did that begin for Steve Larson?
It actually started with door-to-door sales. I was a door-to-door salesman.
Oh, wow.
And
me too.
Yeah, dude, such good like training ground, right?
Right.
So you're going around and you're getting your butt kicked and you're getting told no all the time, and that's good for you. And so, I don't know. One day I was just tons of rejection. I was selling pest control. I don't know what you sold.
Solar.
Solar. Okay, cool. I did security
Yeah.
and pest, and then I was a telemarketer after that.
Yeah.
So I was doing pest control, and I got my butt handed to me from this neighborhood for like 2 days. So I was in a bad mood. All right. I was a little bit of a pissy mood, to be totally honest with you. We're driving out to the area the next day, and I'm like, I was mad. I was sitting in the back of the car. I still remember where we were. We're driving 80 miles an hour down the highway, and I was selling pest control in Salt Lake, actually. Really not that buggy, but anyway, it was and I remember looking at these billboards, and I was like, I don't know why, but this realization just smacked me in the face. I was like, man, people are calling these billboards every day asking to be sold. I'm like waking up, walking around, trying to sell people who are not planning on buying anything today.
Right.
I was like, can it be like this billboard? And I started going to these internet classified sites. I was like, maybe I could put like an ad up. I had no idea what I was doing. It was pesticides. So you're supposed to post your license, and I didn't know any of that. So I eventually got called by the department of something, had to go take it down. And but I started getting all these phone sales from people like begging to buy our service. And I was doubling my sales because of it. And I was like, this is crazy. Lasted for a few weeks. Department of, I think, Agriculture called, said, shut it down. And, but dude, I was hooked. And I got ruined. I was one of the top sales. It ruined me the rest of the summer. And
how old were you at this time?
20. I'm 32 now. I was 24,
Wow.
25.
Okay.
Something like that. It wasn't that long ago. And then I went and left that summer, and I started listening. I was like, I got to consume more of this stuff. Went back to college, and I was listening to Pat Flynn, actually, Smart Passive Income.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to write ebooks and make a website people can buy it on. So I did. And I wrote an ebook, and I put all this stuff together, and through WordPress YouTube tutorials, like bootstrap nasty hacked this thing together. It like sucked, but it was my first funnel ever, and did not work. But that's kind of what introduced me into it. And I was like, how do I get traffic?
Like zero sales?
Yeah, I think there's like two. One was probably my mom, you know?
Yeah. Gotcha.
I was like, how do you get traffic? That led me to go find more courses that someone had put on YouTube. And then eventually just followed the thread into affiliate marketing, followed Russell, saw who he was, joined the Army, read his book while I was on a security line with my M16 in the prone for 10 days, came back and from a training, it wasn't like a real thing. And that's kind of how it all happened. And I was always hustling.
Yeah. And then, so that first foray into ClickFunnels happened because you wung your way through trading funnels for plane tickets to whatever it could to just get there, get the hotel, and you wing your way and somehow end up with an interview with Russell. Tell us about that day when you go to ClickFunnels. What's rolling through your mind at that point? And how much money did you have at that point? Were you pretty broke at this point?
Yeah, I was making more money for companies than I had myself. And so I was good. I was a good funnel builder at that point already. I was a head editor of yearbook in high school, and especially for layout and design. So the same principles applied for, I didn't do any sports. I was a theater choir yearbook geek, right? So like I was doing all this layout design crap. So I saw ClickFunnels. I was like, dang, like I didn't have money for ClickFunnels. So, you know, the first week, it was a 2-week trial. I was like, let's use this to our advantage. Week 1, we built the funnel. Week 2, we just focused on sales. And week 3, we handed basically revenue from our customers to ClickFunnels. And just, that's how I bootstrapped my way into ClickFunnels account also. Wow. And so I go to get into the ClickFunnels space, and I'm sitting there it's freaking out, man. It's Russell Brunson. Like, you know, like people put like sports people on like their walls in their bedroom. Like, I would have put a poster of Russell Brunson on my wall, and now like
Yeah.
creepy as heck, man. And like, don't tell him that. Don't use me freaking weirdo, man. And so, anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm like, just trying to keep my cool. He and I clicked immediately. We spoke ferociously for an hour and a half, but finally his assistant was like, he has to go on another meeting, and like pulled us apart. It was really weird. And 20 minutes after I started driving back, they're like, you want to help build his funnels? I was like, you're going to pay? I would do that for free. It's bad negotiation tactic, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Wow. And just like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did that day? Like, were you freaking out in your head? Like, oh my God, like, did you get to work right away, or what was flowing in your head at that time?
I learned how to yell in the Army, so I was yelling a bunch, but I pretty much yelled the whole way back for 4 hours and lost my voice. I mean, I was like going nuts.
Wow.
So yeah.
And for people who are just learning about ClickFunnels, a lot of our audience is sort of making that transition, learning about online entrepreneurship. Yeah. There's a lot of different platforms people recommend. I personally use ClickFunnels. I know you do too. We've had a ton of people from the community. And if people are interested, they can sign up for the One Funnel Away Challenge in the description below, or sign up for a 2-week free trial. But can you talk about, in your assessment, why is ClickFunnels one of the most powerful websites for creating opportunity online?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I believe is because Russell walked the game on his own without a software like ClickFunnels for 13 years. And so he went through so many iterations of, all right, let's go draw a picture of the funnel, you know, like what's the offer? What's this? Now let's go to the coder. Now let's go to the designer. Now let's go to and literally from the grassroots doing the process, they could launch a funnel and they were good once every 3 months. Mm-hmm. So it was 3 months before they knew if what they designed was even good. And so that's why he's so obsessive about it. And I think that's the major difference. The thing that I laugh about when people are like, it's the ClickFunnels killer. I'm like, right. Man, a musician makes an out-of-tune piano sound good. Like the tool after a while doesn't matter. It matters a little bit, but really like people just suck at marketing. They think it's the tool that makes them money. It's not. Right. No.
Very cool. And what is a funnel for people who are just sort of learning about it, or just maybe hearing about it for the first time on this interview? Put it simply, Steve Larson himself, what is a funnel?
Yeah. This is my own definition of it, but it's nothing more than a message and an offer. ClickFunnels didn't invent funnels. The first funnel ever was probably back when the first caveman traded a rock for like, you know, a piece of fish. You know, it's like, it's a message and an offer. If I stand on a stage and I have a message and an offer, I'm the funnel. When you and I are doing door-to-door sales, we delivered the message and the offer. The only thing that's different about what ClickFunnels has created is the method of delivering a funnel, which is just to put it on a series of pages online. That's it.
Very simple. Cool, man. I love it. And again, if people are interested, they can click on the description below. Now, I want to ask you, Steve, a lot of people in online marketing have a tough time kind of getting the ball rolling. Can you talk about, you know, you mentioned you had 34 attempts and failures. Can you talk about just the psychology of failures you've had online and what you learned from your first couple of wins as you got the ball rolling?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I look back and I'm like, I remember one of the first attempts I ever did was like, and this is the other reason I went online, is because I realized so many of my ideas involved the internet, but I'm not a coder. My dad is, so I went into coding in college at first, and I was like, I can't do this crap. Like, I just can't do it. But when I went and, you know, one of my very first attempts was real estate, and I love real estate, still love real estate, still do it. You know, it's awesome. But I went and I got all these contracts on these houses, and I was trying to go split the contract in the closing period, and it worked, you know, but at the same time, like it kind of didn't, you know, and people would ask, you know, how come it didn't work? And I would say things like, oh, the market sucks, you know, the market's terrible, everything's, you know, it's the economy, whatever that means, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say that kind of crap. You know, this is right after 2008. It was still kind of like aftermath. And so it's the economy and all this stuff. There's some legitimacy to that. But I kept thinking that it was the vehicle's fault. Dude, it's my fault. You know, there was this moment of honesty that I had to sit back finally and be like, man, if someone else is doing it and I'm not, I'm the variable. You know, like, shame on me. And so there was those first like 17 attempts, man, it was like, I mean, I did so much stuff. Obviously, door-to-door sales. I did the ebooks thing, lots of affiliate marketing. I was a traffic driver for Paul Mitchell. I did tons of, like I said, we did diamonds for a little while. Like that was crazy. It's just nuts to see how many attempts there were, and suddenly it didn't work because of the product. It's the wrong marketplace. And the reality is that I just wasn't good enough. You know, one of the biggest fears people have when they ever come to me is like, Steven, I'm having some imposter syndrome. I may not be good enough. What if I'm not good enough? And I always tell them, like, no one get butthurt if you're thinking of listening to this now. You might be right. Like, you may not be good enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is another way to look at that. Like, I'm not going to try and stroke it. No, it's okay. You got it. It's all right. No one cares about your success more than you will. I can't. Don't ask anyone else to. No one can hold your dream more than you can. So it's like, you may not be good enough. You know, and after a while though, you got to know when you're good enough, and now you're just postponing, you know. And so the thing that I had to work on myself, I didn't understand that there's this three-way battle that's going on. Can I be good enough at the skill? Can I be good enough at selling the skill, which is totally different, and it is marketing itself. And then the third thing is your head. How are you interacting with this? Oh my gosh, I do have some imposter syndrome, or I'm not smart. I can't speak on camera. You know, it's the personal growth side that's required. That three-way battle is murder. That's usually what washes people out.
Do you find as you reflect back, because I'm sure there was a lot of, you know, late nights, whether it was in college or after, where you're like, I can't figure this out. What am I doing? But, you know, and your bank account's going empty, and you have all these things you're working on, you know, whatever it is. I want to make $1 million or my first $100,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you look back on those times of you being so in your head, working so hard, trying this and trying that and failing and still trying, what was it that clicked? Was it a thought? Was it, because one thing when I've, you know, interviewed some of the coolest people on the planet, and a lot of them tell me that it ends up, when you start winning, it's actually a lot easier in the sense that it's simpler. Yeah. And that a simple mind can manifest, create, and produce more than a complicated, motivated. Sometimes we're too intellectual for our own good, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So as you look back, I just want to ask you, you know, what were some distinctions you made that actually simplified it and put you in momentum? And you were like, oh, that was a lot easier than I thought. You know, did you have a moment like that?
It's a series of them, lots of them. Mm-hmm. That's totally true though. You know, when I left ClickFunnels, which is one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. That first year though, it took me 13 months to do that first $1 million. And then the next year was 4, you know, it was like, whoa, you know, and then it just went. And so I look backwards and now I'm like, dang, this game's easy or simple or whatever. I mean, it took 5-6 years for me to be able to say that.
Or see it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm like, that's what is required on this. Oh, like I was making it way harder, or over analyzing every move and thinking that if I don't overanalyze it, it's going to be wrong, you know?
Right.
I will tell you that one of the things that has been the weirdest part though, it goes back to that growth piece. The weirdest part has been to develop a solid sense of self on the journey of entrepreneurship. I didn't know that would be a requirement. It's totally a payment you have to pay though. It's kind of like, you know, have you been like in a windstorm? It's just like constantly hitting on you and stuff's flying off. It's kind of like that, you know, right. You're going to go expose yourself to a level of attention publicly that I don't care about the fame part. I really don't. I am motivated by the mastery piece. You know, like I want to go read the rest of my books, man. They go past that way. Like I want to go, you know, on this side, we got the whiteboards. I want to finish going through. I like the mastery of it. I enjoy the art of it for the art's sake. And I was so shy as a kid that I probably would not have pursued this if I knew how much public eye it would require. You don't have to, but it is a faster way to do it. And so the personal development piece has been shockingly not fun for me, you know, but it'll like your character flaws explode in your face the moment you start moving. You got to do something about it or you don't move forward.
Yeah, exactly. There's a beautiful line. I forget who said it, but they said that, you know, we don't have business problems. We have personal problems that reflect in our business.
Ooh, that's spicy right there.
Yeah. It's that
I like that.
We don't have problems in our business. We have personal problems that reflect in our business. Totally.
All right, I gotta go back and write that down.
Spot on. Okay, well then what about this? What about as it relates to like untangling the web of finally seeing with clarity? I mean, a lot of people, go to you for launches and offers. And I'm sure that you've had people go through several iterations. You have programs at every level. You help people from, moderately committed to like super committed and invested.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure that the patterns are the same, right? It's like you help people at a deeper level, but it's the same psychology or the same untangling. What have you found is the biggest mistake most people make when it comes to online marketing? And then what's the pattern of like what they actually end up doing right that puts them in the right direction? So what are the wrongs and rights of online marketing, so to speak,
Yeah.
as you see it?
Yeah. This super awesome question. I think the biggest mistake, okay. Moment of vulnerability here, right? Okay, here we go. Omar special. Here we go. Dude, this was one of the most painful things I'd ever experienced. When I started working for Russell, while I was building successful funnels for others, I was like, okay, let me start doing this on my own. I'm clearly good enough for that guy for me to hire, like for the Russell. So I was like, okay, how can I take advantage of this opportunity as best as possible, Right. And I don't mean this in a cocky sense, and I don't want this to come across, but like there's a reason why there's 400 employees at ClickFunnels right now, but everyone knows my name and not the 399.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's because I was like, I do what he teaches.
Yeah.
They all could do the same. Like, so I don't have to be weird. I'm not trying to be weird when I say it, but like there's something, Steven, you got handed your success because you worked for Russell. Like, what about, how come we can't see, who are they? It's like, no, I'm still applying it. So what I started doing, I was like, I got to create a structure to capitalize on what's happening here. So I would wake up at 5. I'd ride my bike because we didn't have enough money for another car at the time. I ride my bike 4 miles into ClickFunnels at 5:30. I would start working at 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on my own stuff. That's when I started my podcast. I'd take his mic from his computer, plug it into mine. That's how Sales Funnel Radio started, man. It's like, wow. And so from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'd work on his stuff when he walked in. And then, I'd go put my kids down, be a dad. And then from usually 9 or 10 to midnight, I'd work on my stuff again. So I was squeezing a part-time job. That's why I get huffy when someone's like, I don't have time. And I'm like, you don't have priority. You feel a little heat, baby. Like, you got this, Then I'd sleep from midnight to 5 and do it all over again. I did that for the first 10 months. And you know what's funny?
Wow.
Dude, I was still broke. You know how humbling it is to be Russell Brunson's funnel builder, and we're pooping out another $1 million funnel every 3 weeks, and his funnel builder can't make money.
Yeah.
It was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
And I realized this 9 months in, and I was like, why can't I figure out how come when he tells me to build it, it works? How come when I do it, it's not working? Like, what is this? I'd get minuscule success here and there. But it was nothing I was like, what is it?
Yeah.
And I think it was because of this. Dude, when I would build a funnel for Russell, 3 or 4 days would go by. I'd put the funnel together. I'd hand it to him. And he would wreck it. I mean, he would destroy the entire funnel. I thought I was going to get fired the first 3 months I worked there. No joke.
Yeah.
Friends and family would ask. They'd be like, hey, how's it going? I'd be like, good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to get another job or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I was like, yeah, because I hand this funnel over to him and he'll wreck 99% of it.
Wow.
And I'm sitting in the same room with him. And so it's not like it's a silent wrecking. I mean, he would just destroy the thing. And my pride goes out the window and everything sucks. I was like, what's wrong with this? And I remember then I would go back to the drawing board, rebuild it, hand it back over to him. And then he'd only destroy 80% of it. And it's over and over and over. And there'd be 7 funnels on my plate at all times. And just constant grind.
Hey you, I hope you're enjoying this interview, and we'll get back to it in 1 second, but I have a quick question for you. Have you ever watched one of these interviews and you're just thinking, man, it would be so insane to be able to share my story and inspire the world all while growing my personal brand? Well, now you can, and it's as simple as clicking on that link below and filling out that short questionnaire. If our team feels that you are a great fit for the show, who knows? You may get that call to be interviewed on Zoom or in person and become a passionate few. That's all for now.
For the first 13 months. Wow. 13 months in was the first time I handed a funnel to him, came back the next morning, and he goes, dude, good job on that. I just changed one word in the headline. And I was like, whoa, dude, you never said that to me, man. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he was like, what? I was like, I thought you were going to fire me for the last year. What is this? And he's like, why would I fire you? I was like, because you have never accepted a single funnel that I've handed you. He's like, no. You're a really good funnel builder. You came to me that way. And I was like, dude, what's with the whole destroy everything I do thing? I haven't really shared this depth of the story with anyone anywhere. So it's like, but, and I said, then what was with that? He goes, dude, I'm turning you into a marketer. He's like, funnel builders don't get paid, man. Marketers get paid. And that was the first time I was like, that's why I was a good funnel builder. Funnel builders don't get paid though. And that's the misconception, to answer your question in a very long way, is like these people that go out and say, the funnel doesn't work, ClickFunnels doesn't work. They suck at marketing. They're garbage at it. And they think that's the funnel's fault. It's not. A funnel is not the reason. I always tell people funnels don't create cash. They collect it, you know, very different. A funnel is like a catcher's mitt for the effects of your marketing campaigns. And so if you build a funnel and nothing else, you got an empty catcher's mitt and there's no baseball. No one's throwing the ball. Nothing's coming your way. It's no like, action. Yeah, there's nothing there, you know? And so instead, what you got to go do be amazing at is all the campaigns. That's marketing. How can you create strategic noise in the direction of the funnel you built? That's how you get paid. So campaigns create cash, funnels collect cash. And with those two together, it's very powerful. And it was a very painful lesson. It took me a year over there to learn. And it was a big deal though once I finally got it.
So you'd say the biggest difference that most people make, or the biggest distinction, is to focus on being a marketer, not just a producer of content or a funnel builder or whatever. You have to have the whole marketing integration piece. Let me ask you this one follow-up then. What makes a good marketer as Steve Larson defines it?
Yeah, marketing. So I actually go back to...
Yeah, because you've worked with Russell Brunson. I mean, you've worked at the heart of ClickFunnels. You've seen how it operates. And aside from ClickFunnels, I'm sure you've studied all the greats. I'm sure those books on your shelves are loaded with them. What are the elements of what truly makes a good, multi-million-dollar marketer online today?
Yeah, so I started developing my own framework while I was over there on how to launch offers, because we were spending so much time building, for so many people. Or, I helped develop the first 2 Comic Club coaching program. And I was the only coach, with 600 students. And so I got to see not just from his eyes, but from 600 other students. And, then he became the One Funnel Away guy. And what was fascinating is like, I started realizing that, oh my gosh, there's a step before funnel building. Like I should know my offer before I start building. Sounds rudimentary now, but there was like just .com secrets out. There was no other education around funnels back in that time. I was like, wait a second, there's a step before knowing what the offer is. I should know my messages. Wait, there's before that. And so now it's this 12-step process that I bring people through to launch and design and evergreen an offer. And it has more to do with roles. Like, so what is a marketer? It has more to do with roles. It's, I always laugh. I know you've seen this too, man. Like on, you go to LinkedIn and people are like, I'm the CEO, president, co-founder, VP of sales, and whatever, blah, blah title of this company. It's like, well, what is a business? Right. It's just a series of systems that creates a lead, sells some of them, and fulfills on it. That's it. And so if you're just starting out, you do not have a business and you're the CEO of nothing, right? It's like, don't call yourself that. So, but to think about these 12 steps though, you are working with those types of roles. The first role so I usually only work with existing companies, and the first person or identity that I'm speaking with is the business owner. And a business owner is in the business of systems. That's it. They're tweaking systems, they're making systems, they're optimizing. That's it. That's what a CEO does. All right. As you move down the 12 steps though, I have to switch who I'm talking to, and the identity that I start speaking with is an entrepreneur. So I always laugh too when people are like, I'm an entrepreneur, and that's the only identity that they ever take on. It's like, well, no wonder you're still broke. What is the business? What is an entrepreneur in the business of? Solving a problem. That's it. Solving a valuable problem in a valuable way. But if you never take on the third role, which is the final one of being a marketer, and we ask, what is a marketer in the business of? A marketer is in the business of delivering a solution to a marketplace. So like, what is a marketer? A marketer delivers things to a marketplace. Marketers are noise generators. That's all they are. They create sales-based attention, sales-based noise in the direction of their offer. And if they can do that, it broadens us past, hey, this is just go post crap on Facebook. That's why I study the old rich dad marketers. How did they deliver a solution to a marketplace without the distribution of the internet? That's why it's powerful. That's why I obsess like that.
That's interesting. And then, one thing that we learned when we interviewed Frank is Frank was talking about, Frank Kern, he was talking about the concept that one of the biggest mistakes that he thinks when we asked him was that most online marketers think about how can I make money in 30 days? And he said, smart marketers think 90 days, 6 months, a year. They think spaced out, whereas other people think short term, get overwhelmed, and end up struggling for 6 months before they give up. When if they would have just played the game for the 3 months or whatever, they could have cashed out earlier, had that opportunity. So it's the cycles with which you pace. Do you find that's true as well? The time and the realistic sense of like how I'm going to add value to an audience, how I'm going to build brand before I put out an offer versus just, oh, let me throw out a funnel and ads and ad spend and hire a manager, and why isn't it working? I'll fire them, hire more people, right? Like you find a lot of that friction comes from that kind of psychology as well?
Yeah, I feel like people look at the internet and they're like, they literally think it's a get rich quick scheme, that they're just agreeing that that's okay ethically. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, like, no, it's not a get rich quick scheme. I work my face off, Yeah. And I plan in 3 to 6 month rotations. That's about it. I really don't plan much past that. Beyond that, I'm guessing. And so I create a campaign calendar. And my campaign calendar, whenever I need to have like a cash grab, it tells me it's time for me to go run one of my launch strategies. It's almost like football plays. I'm like, okay, which play are we going to go run? I'm like, oh, let's go run that play, And so if I need more cash, like I'll look to see on my calendar, green is a campaign for cash. So I'm like, here's all the revenue generating activities we are planning on doing in the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. And so I would agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
So when you say that, like, what are some things, for example, because I know people are watching this and going, okay, like, well, what are those revenue generating activities? What's the campaign? Can you give like the nuances of maybe, for example, say someone has, a product that they're confident about, they feel good about, they want to launch it, they're trying to figure out how to, they want to get started. What are some basic components? Would you say, for example, like step 1, build an audience, step 2, build a podcast around it. I mean, obviously there's more than one way to do it, but what are some, at least, in whatever, vague or specific way you'd like to share, what are some tenets or components of what someone should do from just an idea to their first success or their first sale with online marketing, creating a product and creating hype around it, that whole thing?
Yeah. I have a whole event around this for sure. So it's kind of hard to, but
I've been to the event. No, it's awesome. And we'll put links below so you guys can follow Steven and check out all this stuff.
Oh, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. Absolutely. So honestly, a launch campaign, launching is step 11 of 12. It's so far down the line. The thing that people have to start with is they have to understand, I actually wrote this in Russell's new Traffic Secrets book. He asked me to write on this topic because I geek out on it. So if people have the book, it's the one that's on market selection secrets. Can't remember which page it's on, but basically the concept is that I started realizing and recognizing that if people followed me, I gotta say, it's similar to what like Tim Ferriss says. He's like, people get bored. Man, I pace around with nothing going on. It's as much white space, unplanned time as possible. Lets my mind just go. So I started recognizing that we all ask really weird questions when we're starting a product. We ask, who's your target market? And I was like, what does that even mean? Right? It's like, I started realizing like, holy crap, a market is not a person. That's not even a complete sentence. You can't even say that, right? It's like saying, what country is a car? It's like, what? Like, that doesn't even, okay. You know what I mean? So it's like, what, so first we have to split out the fact that a dream customer is very different than a dream market. And markets are not people. A dream customer is a person, but a market is a location. It's like if I am going to go to a farmer's market in the morning with my kiddos, which sometimes I do, I don't know, it's just fun to be outside. So I have to put my kids in the car and I have to go to the farmer's market. that's just the point. I have to go to the market because I'm not the market. I'm the dream who's going to the marketplace. So when you start thinking about markets as locations, virtual or physical, it actually really helps the way we launch things. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to first identify the dream customer that I want to have. And I'm going to start by looking over their shoulder, and I'm going to follow them proverbially. I'm going to follow them and say, what markets or locations do you go to exchange? Hopefully we can find a lot of you, because you're my dream customer, in one of the markets I'm going to follow you into. I'm like, oh, not that one. It's not big enough of a market. Oh, not that one. This hasn't been around long enough. Holy smokes. Look how huge that market is. There's so much cash in it. There's a lot of carbon copies of this dream customer going to it. Let's make that our one staple shop. And that actually is the first step for us going and designing a launch, because now we're not trying to launch to everybody. We're going, it's the equivalent of as if we were to go to a farmer's market and read everyone's signage. Mm-hmm. What is everyone else doing to get attention? It's like, oh, we can do better than that. You know what I mean? And it really helps to do and think about it that way. But it's the reason too why I say, like, Facebook ads are not campaigns. They can be part of a campaign, but it's not a campaign. It's like saying a tire is a car. It's like, no, it's part of a car, not a car. And so when we go design a launch, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start creating a lot of pressure. The biggest mistake people make when they launch stuff is that they do it too quick. And so they'll be like, Steven, I got this great idea. It's going to be amazing. I got this sexy offer. No one's ever done it before. And I'm like, sweet. They're like, I'm going to launch it next week. And I'm like, no, you need to push that baby back 2 or 3 months and spend the next 2 or 3 months increasing awareness and pressure that something's coming. Not available yet, but it's on the way. Mm-hmm. Similar to how Hollywood launches a product or movie, right? This is like, and then you're going to go get interviewed, and you're going to start publishing, and you're going to start creating buzz. You might have a little mini event right up to the launch date, like a summit or a 7-day launch or something like that, to help build pressure, lots more attention, right? And you're telling people all along, like they do in movie previews, you know, coming December 27th, theaters are you.
You're on a press tour, so to speak. Yeah.
It's like date, time, location. Here it is coming up. Here it is coming up. And you don't have it coming up. And you're building pressure. And then through the eye of the keyhole. That works really, really well. And when people treat it that way, that's campaigning, right? And that's marketing is delivering something to a marketplace. So
I love the way you explain that. Do you think most people don't do that because they feel like, oh, well, I don't want to waste all this time, and what if it doesn't work? I'd much rather get some quick sales now, proof of concept. You know, there's a lot of people that say, well, you can pre-sell, right? There's a lot of, I think that's one of the biggest things about online marketing. Some people say, well, dude, you can sell it without ever having it, so you can do a pre-sale. And then someone else says, no, do a launch. And they don't know, so they're torn by all these different words and opinions. Yeah. But I love what you're sharing here, and I just want to zoom in on this point. Do you think that most people don't approach it that way because they want that quick win to justify it? Or what is it that prevents people from mentally kind of pacing themselves and actually building an audience, building value, doing the thing, only to one day find out if it will sell or not? You know, what's going on there psychologically? What have you seen? What are patterns do you see?
I see that most of the time people are nervous about, most of them, and I can't blame them, man. Like, I mean, I went through so many failures over so many years before ever meeting Russell, and even after, you know, it's not like it was success all the time. That you're just so desperate for a validating win. I call it the shut up check. Right? It's like, what you're looking for is the shut up check. Like the next time somebody comes up and says like, oh, is that going to work, Steven? And you're like, yeah, of course it'll take you to lunch, right? And really what you're looking for is like the shut up check. Like, shut up. It did work. Shut up, you know? And so I'm looking for the shut up check. And most people are, they want they've gone through the grind. They've gone through relationships and loved ones, maybe not being as supportive as they want to. And you can't blame them. I don't, so I think a lot of times they just get really, really antsy, you know, to get out there. And I think it goes back to people thinking that the funnel is what causes the success, and it's the noise around the funnel, and
or the idea itself, not the pressure around the idea.
If I'm the best artist in the planet, I'll make the most money. Like, no, it'd be the best at selling the thing, not the thing.
And have you seen people you worked with? Just because I really want to expand people who are watching this or listening to this around the world, just expand their sense of possibility. Have you seen people who or struggling and trying and failing and trying to do one little pivot, actually fall through on a launch, and then have a major win and go, oh my God, why was I just mentally unorganized prior? Like it was just, why didn't I just do the right things and then the right things happen? Have you seen that process happen?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Many times. Many times. Yeah. I'm a student of my own material, so it's happened to me many times. Happened to a lot of students. It's like, it's one of the funnest things to watch when suddenly the furniture in their head gets rearranged and then they go do it. And they already knew how to email market. They already knew but it's doing it in the correct way, or at least probable correct way, or high probability. That's a fun thing to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. What about this? What about when it comes to your own mental clarity? Because I'm sure as you look back and reflect, you're like, oh, I should have done this back in the day. Why did I waste all this time? I could have just been doing this, right? I'm sure you had those conversations.
Yeah.
What advice would you impart to your younger self? And as a parallel, people watching this, obviously at a certain level, you're going to need to struggle and go through the walls and, kind of learn stuff. But knowing what you know now, what's something that's on the tip of your mind that you wish you could have told your younger self to kind of speed your success a little bit faster or a little bit clearer that could help people?
Yeah, really two things, honestly. The first thing I would say is that you're paying your dues. You know what I mean? You're paying your dues. I was telling a friend that probably 2 or 3 nights ago, and I was like, I paid my dues. No one handed it over to me. I paid my dues though, and thankfully, trial 3 didn't work, because otherwise I'd be doing it right now, and that would have sucked. You know what I mean? Like, looking long term, thank goodness I'm not in the diamond business. Like, good grief, I'm so glad I'm not you know what I mean? And so, like, thankfully, a lot of those didn't work. I took a piece from it, took a lesson from it, and immediately rolled into the next one. I had very little time of moping between each, maybe a day. And I just got back on the horse and went for it. And, but I would tell myself though, because I used to just like mentally wreck myself over this question. I'd be like, watch people like, oh man, like Steve Jobs by the age of blank was doing, why am I not, and you start.
Yeah. Same.
We've all done that, and, and you start comparing yourself. To be totally honest, there's a few things I would say to myself, but one of them would be like, hey, only compare you to you and you to yesterday. I can't remember who said, I say that phrase it comes from a lesson. It's called The Gap, the book called The Gap. Who wrote The Gap? Anyway, I don't remember, but the principle is that the moment we start comparing ourselves to other people, it's the beginning of our death, basically. So it's you against you against yesterday. It's a phrase I repeat to myself a lot. But the question I used to just wreck my mentality with, and frankly, all self-esteem with, was, what should I sell? What should I sell? What should I sell? What should I sell? If I could just get the sweet idea, if I just have the great product, why they did it, I'm not. How come I'm not? What's wrong with me? It's that. For years, it was like a whip. It was like, how come I can't? I was hitting myself with it. Like, how come I'm not successful? Why isn't this working? And we've all been there.
Right.
But if I would have just changed the question, I would have gotten a different answer. And I had that thought probably like 2 years ago, because I was obsessed with that question probably the first 3 years. Every day, wrote it down, like in my dreams, like pure obsession. And it really jacked my mentality, my self-esteem, frankly. It wasn't until I asked, who do I want to sell, that everything changed. Instead of what should I sell, it's who do I want to sell and what do they want to buy. That changes everything, because now I don't need to be a creative genius to come up with some amazing product. It's like, if I just had clarity on who it was that I actually wanted to go sell and got to know them, they would tell me what they want to buy. And that made it a lot easier. I'm like, man, I'm not the one buying my own product. Why do I care so much? Like, as long as it's ethical and moral, who cares what I'm selling? Who do I want to work with? And then we start at that kingpin, and so many of the dominoes fall in place. That one, when I go work with corporate clients, who do I want to sell and what's the market we're going to sell into? Those are the hardest, longest portions of the consultation. It's like the rest of it pretty much is plug and play after that.
Yeah, that's huge, because I think what most people lack is clarity. And I think that when you have clarity on who, then you narrowly identify your options within that who. You know, whereas if you're
Easy.
thinking, what, you're like, oh, I can sell this, or I can sell that, or I can sell this, or I can sell that, or shit, would people buy this, or would they? How much are they charging?
Yeah.
Are they selling it? What are they doing? They already have they like a hold on the market, and then
Spin.
and then you work yourself up. Should I even do online marketing? Damn, should I get a job? These are scammers. You know, you get the whole thing, and then it's funny because you end up having clarity, and you're like, oh, I should have just asked people what they wanted, you know, or oh, I should have just I like people, and then it's smooth.
Wrong question. Fascinating slap in the face.
Well, that actually leads perfectly to my last question. I know you got to run, so thank you for your time. My last question is, you know, once you identify who you want to serve, you figured out your core strength, you figure out your skill sets. What is it that makes an excellent offer? What are the ingredients of an excellent offer? And I know that's a loaded question because there's so much you can go into, but at its root, what is it? And not only that, with the caveat of at every level, because, you know, for example, we have programs that are $25,000, $50,000 plus, and some of those sales were easier or just as smooth as $500 sales or $2,500 sales when, like you said, it's the right person that you're serving, right? Because they have a different value on solving that challenge. So at its core, what makes an excellent offer?
Utility. That's really it. There's a just massively huge difference between a product and an offer. And you can take the exact same product and turn them into completely different offers. And people think that an offer is just a bunch of products that you just bundle together. And that's not an offer, that's a bundle. And so I'm trying to think which story to grab real quick here. It's just a big question. But when it comes down to it though, like I used to go in and you know, I love the book Expert Secrets. It's amazing. It teaches one style of offer creation, which is to take your main product and then add other bonuses to it. That's a method, not the only method. And people will think that, oh, I got to go have tons of other products. Look at all these other things I got to go create for a big stack slide. Like that's not the only way. There's a lot of ways to do it. And so when it comes down to it, you know, I was actually at a Jeff Walker event, and I always hate when the MC stands up and they're like, say hi to the person next to you. And I'm like, oh, you know, so, all right, what's up? Hey, forced interaction. What's up? Yeah, I have to have this in my life because I'm one other way. All right, sweet. Yeah. Well, the guy I turned to was freaking Dan Kennedy's ghostwriter. Brilliant dude. And we ended up talking and having this amazing conversation. He has this good book. His name's Jack Turk. And in there, his...
what's the book called?
It's called 101 Methods for Insanely Fast, Lucrative Copywriting Hacks, something like that.
I'll put a link. I'll find out and I'll put a link below.
Cool, sounds good. Really good book, not that long. It's over there on the shelf. Went through it, but he had one line in there. We email a lot now, and you know, going back and forth. Amazing guy, and he helped ghostwrite Dan Kennedy's magnetic marketing book. So we were talking back and forth, and
legendary marketer there, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was really cool. He had one line in there that said, offer equals, I was like, this will be interesting. Offer equals core product plus value add. That's it. So I was like, man, as internet marketers, we are looking at this very wrong. I had a teacher in college who was a brilliant guy, absolutely amazing guy. And he taught me how to think. In fact, that's what he said one day. He walked in. He was the CMO of Denny's and of Pizza Hut, invented stuffed crust pizza. Cool guy, one of my first one-on-one mentors. Wow. And I was like, where'd you come up with all your ideas? He's like, I'm going to teach you how to think. I was not sure if I should be insulted or what. But what he taught me, though, was this process. He taught everyone this process of how to think and manufacture creativity. Brilliant. And it comes from this company called IDEO. And they got tons of stuff all over the internet. It's amazing. IDEO was who Steve Jobs went to develop the first mouse. They developed rocket fuselages. They're the reason your toothbrush is curved the way it is. They know nothing about those topics. There are just a bunch of people who've developed a process that poops out creative stuff. It's amazing. So he taught me that process. And so thinking about that in context with offer creation, I started realizing that what the easiest way to create a sexy offer is, first of all, to have an amazing product. If you have an amazing product, very easy to create a sexy offer. And so that's one of the major mistakes people make. They're like, why don't I have anything to sell? So they'll just start bundling crap,
Yeah.
They do. They start bundling stuff and they go sell it. And it's like, here's my offer. Man, there's no rhyme or reason to that, is there? But if you have an amazing product, offer equals core product plus value add. So what is value? And probably about a year ago, I started diving really heavy into the concept of value, because we all know what price is. It's how much I charge. We all know what cost is, how much I have to pay to do the actual business. Dude, how do you define value? What is that? And so for about a year ago, I started diving on into this. And I realized, like, Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, had an issue with this as well. He's like, back in the day, 1700s, everyone thought value was created by how long it took you to create your product. It's like, what? No. Value is in the eyes of the end user, not how long it took the creator to create. And it became this major idea around when European reform came around. One of the staple ideas around European reform, changing the way economy looks at value. And what happens is we as marketers or entrepreneurs, when we solve a problem, we fall in love with our baby and we're like, it's worth this much money, right? It's worth this. Oh, look at what I've created. Me fire, And
it's egocentric. Yeah.
You go and you love it so much, like, but when it comes down to it, I know I quote a lot of books, but there's another one though, Science of Getting Rich, super good. In there, it teaches another aspect. I was like, okay, I'm getting closer to what value is not from me. So value comes from them, but I still don't know what value is. And then Science of Selling, the Science of Getting Rich. Science of Getting Rich teaches that value is utility. So we look back at this offer creation formula, and it's offer equals core product. It's got to be sexy. Use manufacturing creativity from IDEO to come up with an amazing product, plus value add. What you're really saying is utility or usefulness. So if someone's struggling in the economy today, the only thing you have to do is increase how useful they are to the marketplace. That's it. It says a long answer, but like, that's all it comes down to. The core essence of an offer is taking a product and making it more useful. And if I can do that, I can do it through guarantees. I can do it through story. I can do it through more products and bonuses. You can do it through bundling. There's an infinite number of ways to become more useful to a marketplace. And not a single one of them is required to make it an offer, but you can do a whole bunch and make it really sexy. And I think that's why my offers have done so well. We kind of do all of them. And then we take that core product and it's just usefulness galore.
Dude, that's brilliant. And straightly inspired from the creator of the stuffed cheese crust pizza from Pizza.
Yeah, cool guy.
What was his name? Everyone's going to probably want to Google him.
He doesn't do much on social media. Drew Eager.
Drew Eager. And the company was called IDEO.
IDEO.
And it teaches the framework. Any quick, like 10-second gems from how to think that you learned that like stick with you, or your go-to little question you ask yourself?
Yeah. The first thing that he had us do was we had to take our product and we had to create a prototype of Play-Doh. This guy was an interesting guy, amazing, brilliant dude. Yeah. But he would, anytime, the first thing he taught us was that, in fact, I think I saw a few guys watching who were in those classes with me, actually. What's up, dude? He had this squirt bottle and he would sit down and he'd be like, okay, this entire semester, you have no classes. The only objective you have the whole semester is to make a business from scratch and make as much money as possible, or you will fail the whole semester. That was I was like, okay, no other classes from scratch. He's like, you guys got to come up here. You 15, you're in the food business. And I was like, crap. And everyone knew I was in entrepreneurship already. So they're like, Steven, you're the CEO. And I was like, dude, I make toast, man. I suck at cooking. I don't really get good at cooking. Right. So we sat down and he's like, first thing you guys are going to do, you're going to come up with your business name. Remember, there's no bad ideas. Remember, there's no bad ideas. I was like, okay. So a scribe stands up. He's sitting there with a water bottle. And the first kid gets up and he's like, let's call our business blah, whatever it was. And someone writes it on down. And there's one kid that like makes this little like stupid idea. You know what I mean? Like this little, and the teacher stands up with the water bottle and he screams, bad kitty! And he sprays the kid in the face with the water. Wow. And we're like, who is this guy? He's like, there are no bad ideas. Stop it. He's like, one of the reasons you don't know how to think and you don't know how to brainstorm is because all of you are so focused on having the right answer Most of the time, there isn't one.
Mhm.
He's like, what you got to do is go to the crazy zone and combine that idea with the mundane, and you're left with prolific. I was like, dude, that's good. And so anytime I have ideas that start to come out of me and pull out of me, it's like, follow the thread. And so I do this thing when I meditate. It's gonna sound real, man. You're getting all the goods, man. Here, if we good, one more, you all right?
Yeah.
When I meditate, which I used to make fun of and thought it was totally woo-woo, but I learned how to do it, and it's really powerful.
What kind of meditation do you do? Just like 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
TM? I use the Muse headset, Sync Tuition. Oh my gosh, I've had some crazy experiences with Sync Tuition. It's a good app. I'll lay on my PEMF machine while I do it. So your body's like getting charged like a battery while I do it. It's really interesting. Yeah. But when I need to answer a question, I go back. All right, questions invite revelation. Okay, that question, that single question, I'm going to go for that one. So I'll close my eyes. And with the backdrop of what that guy taught me, I will start to think through, okay, this is it. Here we go. I'll close my eyes and I'll be in a completely black environment, just totally dark, no lights on, both mentally and physically, most of the time physically. But I'll close my eyes and I begin to imagine that there are, yeah, I've not shared this, all right? So here we go.
No, dude, I love this.
I begin to imagine that there are a bunch of glowing threads around me. And they're all representative of possible answers to a very hard question. You want to get paid more? Solve harder problems. I'm like, all right, these are all possible solutions to a really hard problem. And I'll pull on them and I'll follow them. And I'll start thinking through ways that could solve that issue with no judgment on the idea. And then I'll get far and like, oh crap, not good enough. And I'll go back to the start. All right, let's grab another one. And I spend time doing this. That's how I came up with the first OfferMind material. Was I sit back and and I'll start pulling on. I'll be like, oh my gosh, a market and a person aren't the same thing. You know, it's like, so I have a lot of realizations while I'm doing this.
That's fascinating. And wow. So you're literally meditating on one question, imagining yourself in a library of powerful possibilities, pick them out, follow the thread all the way. And then you go, okay, I like this, but let's see what else. And you just pull, and there's an infinite amount of them until you're just like, this is it. And then you open your eyes and you have clarity.
And I usually have brain.fm on.
Yeah, I have the same. Yeah, I have Brain FM as well.
Love Brain FM. I'll have that on loudly with noise canceling, very isolated. And I'm always in front of a whiteboard and I just ferociously go nuts as far as I can. And then I'll close my eyes and go back again and pick it up again. It's like, you're just becoming open, you know? And I spend a lot of time doing that kind of stuff. Dude, I pace a bunch.
Really? Yeah. So you meditate daily?
Almost.
Yeah.
Frequently. Frequently I do.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of a meditation, get a download, and then go write it, and then go back to the meditation and go get more?
I read way less than people think I do.
Yeah. And you meditate more. A lot of Wow. Dude, that's fascinating because I meditate as well. So, dude, I respect that tremendously.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
A lot of my clarity, I attribute to that. Like a lot of people can confuse, there's been times where I'm sitting at my desk for 6 hours and I won't have as clear as a business idea as I will meditating for 20 minutes. And people confuse that over time, over months or years, all that activity of crunching and punching versus literally just like thinking, because your brain literally, it's one pivot of an idea and you're like, oh yeah, why not just do that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we assume that like we have to frustrate our way to clarity.
It's not true at all. It's like, I would say it to my younger self as well. So it's like, when you're going to create a sexy offer, it really starts with a sexy, amazing, very valuable solution. But in order to be a valuable solution, it has to actually be solving a valuable problem. So clarity on what problem I'm actually going for, along with the list of what I'm not going for, is very key. And so I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what problem to solve, not what's the answer. And that's totally different. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go for that problem, not that problem, that problem. So I have a thing that I created called the core problem planner, and it ranks all the problems out. Once I've identified that problem, then I'll go dive deep into possible solutions with the thread thing. After that, I usually only do that once. Then I'll go into just a lot of value and utility and usefulness ads that turn it into an offer.
Okay, makes sense. And then my final question, I know we're over time already, but final question. is when do you decide to kill an offer and try something else? And this is for my people out there who are watching, listening, and they're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow Steve. I'm going to take action on this. I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to maybe try ClickFunnels. I'm going to try to launch my product.
Yeah.
And then they're, throwing stuff out. You had 34 attempts. I've had probably a couple dozen as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, we always will have a continual more dozen as we grow and grow. Russell does it. Everybody at every level. The challenges never end. In the words of Howard Schultz from Starbucks, he says, as you grow in business, so do your problems and worries. It doesn't change. It's just bigger. And then when you solve it, you get a bigger check for that thing. And then it's on to the next problem.
So true.
But I wanted to ask, just what's your pulse on that? What's your pulse on, do you kind of get where I'm at?
Yeah, I do. I have a hard time answering it because this sounds conceited, but there's not a lot of offers that I've launched that haven't been really awesome since I left. And it's because of the formula that I created. And so I follow my own process that I teach. What you saw at OfferMind that is also what I do. And so I'm not saying every offer has been amazing, but I'll tell you what I more frequently get stuck at, which is I love the act of launching so much that I don't take a lot of time to stop and evergreen the offer. So I get stuck into a launch business when I don't need to be, but I get stuck in it. So that's something we're actually doing a lot in the next quarter here, is just evergreening all the funnels that were successful on launch that we never turned back on. And we should probably turn the ads on for that, so. Yeah.
So then when would you recommend people try a different offer? Or would you say it's not about trying offers, just hoping to get lucky? It's actually about being intentional about the framework before you actually even launch. That's more of what to focus on.
I found them more often than not when they just follow the framework. If it's not a success out of the door, it's usually 2 or 3 tweaks away. And so I'm more interested I work more with people who are interested in developing an offer around their actual product. They're like, this is what I do. Then I'm like, oh, cool. Well, let's force this successful then,
Yeah.
So,
and just pivot and tweak it there.
And usually it's that the launch wasn't good, not that the offer is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just got to go do another launch campaign.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily indicative of a successful or a failure product if right away people aren't raising their hands per se. A lot of times.
Right.
Yeah,
100%. One offer I just launched recently that wasn't awesome was it's one of the best offers I've ever put out, but the campaign that I used to sell it, I dropped the ball. I just didn't follow my own framework on that one. I just didn't. And, that was painful. But the offer was really good. Got paid to create it. It still worked, but it was wasn't like a, blow out the doors kind of a thing. So going back to the drawing board, got the offer done now, got paid to build it, but how do we make this thing really go evergreen? And I realized, oh my gosh, I skipped my whole positioning step, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Very cool. No, dude, I love it. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on and sharing and adding this tremendous value. If people are interested in working with you more, can you share a little bit about what you do? And we'll plug links below where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, most people, what they want from me right now is the capitalist pig shirt. They want capitalism. It's capitalismswag.com. We have an event coming up. We were going to do OfferMind, but in lieu of everything going on, it just didn't make sense for us to do a physical event. So most of my material, I realized, wow, I've only been teaching my offer creation strategy. What about the side of the market that already has an offer but hasn't figured out how to actually cash flow it?
Mm-hmm.
I got a huge list of campaigns that I love to run. So we're going to do an event called Offer Launch. So you go to offerlaunch.com. It's not out as the time of me saying this right now, but offerlaunch.com. That will be an event we do just on cash flow strategy.
Awesome, man. And then people can find you on Facebook as well, or I know you have a Facebook group as well.
Yeah. The Facebook group, if you go to thescienceofselling.online, it'll take you to the group.
Awesome. And we'll plug those links again below. Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this tremendous value, man.
Dude, so I was I voxed my team the moment you asked. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the passion of you, baby. Woo!
I love it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. And again, if people want to get in touch with Steven, you guys can follow him in the description below, get in touch, see all the cool stuff he's up to. I highly back him, and I flew out just to go to his event because it was that freaking epic. So I highly recommend it. All right, Steve, thank you so much for hopping on, man. Thanks for being one of the passionate few. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Till next time, live strong, live with passion. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Listen up. Have you ever listened to an inspiring story or interview or podcast like this and thought to yourself, man, I wish I could share my story with the world? Whether it's your brand, your product, your service, or your business that you believe can inspire others just like this, we want to hear from you. Our team at The Passionate Few is now hosting live interviews. All you have to do is click the link in the bio and fill out a short questionnaire, and you never know, you may just be the next Passionate Few.
Hey you, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to smash that subscribe button right now. And also, if you're an epic entrepreneur, thought leader, expert, and you want to be interviewed on the show, the same way we've interviewed over $10 billion worth of entrepreneurs and reached millions of people, then all you have to do is click the link below right now and fill out the questionnaire to see if you'd be a good fit to be interviewed on The Passionate Few. And also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click any of these videos as well. If you thought this video is epic, these videos will blow your mind. Until next time, live strong, live with passion, and thank you for being one of the passionate few. I'll see you in the next video.